fatigued, but I want to get through the director's meeting because it's kind of something that follows up on the regular turn, even though it's the start of a new term. So I'm using a new video for it, but for my own mindset, I feel like I need to do the director's meeting. First thing, obviously these cards aren't going to get used, nobody gets to see them. So now we go through the steps. The first thing is the chairman gets his special ability, which is to create a new main department anywhere really. And that's not the actual chairman, it's the guy who bribed for the card who gets this now. And I'm going to have directorship here. I'm going to get in charge here. The question is, where would I want to go beyond these? Well, this one gives me another divisional directorship, because I'll beat out all the other colors. So that seems like a good place to start. Those are powerful because they give you those cards. At the very least, if you get bribed, you get some cash and you get some corruption, which can be useful. Okay, and the other person who has one of uses communications, he gets to do an additional action after the chairman privilege has been used. Now, did we just lose something we were going to win otherwise? We were going to win this position. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to open up, that's legal and patents, which would give us trading employees for influence. I would like to retake that if I can't retake this. I'm not going to be able to retake this unless I start a main office there. This is fairly easy to open up. I'm probably not going to have communications. Who's going to have that? Yellow is going to have that. So the starting player is going to be way up there. A lot of people are going to take a shot, chance to get a pot shot at me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move 3 of these down here, and that turns one of them in for another department. Now I could have started another department still, but that would leave me too vulnerable. So this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to maintain my position where I get one department. Okay. Now we dismiss the chairman, and he just goes away. We elect a new chairman. Bunk. There's no one left on the board now. Determine the divisional heads. We look and make counts. Yellow is going to get development instead of red. Human resources goes over to green. No question there. Yellow is going to get communications instead of green. Here, it looks like red has won accounting. And see, everything gets shaken up here. Black managed to hold on to legal because of the play they made, giving themselves an extra meeple down there. And blue holds on to this one. And now we hand these out. So let's gather them all together. Doesn't really matter what order we do them in. Accounting went to red. We need this one. That was human resources. That is green. Controlling went to blue. The chairmanship went to black. There will always be a chairman, even if there's no one to take this. The person who holds the tile, in this case it would have been the guy who got the bribe, would get to keep it. Legal and patents also goes to black. Development, that's yellow. And communications is yellow. Complete shake up there. Now we get influence points. These only go for the chairman and the board. The chairman gets 2 quick influence points, making some significant gains there. Motivation shoots back up. And now the event cards are going to be sorted. And in order to do this, we take out the 2 base ones. The rest of these all go back into the deck. and the communications player is going to shuffle them, draw 6, and select himself a new set. And that's where we're going to kind of stop for now, so that I get a chance to rest, because I am really pooped. Okay, so here we are with the communication director, about to finish off the director's meeting by assigning his cards. And he's drawn 6 of these. He got the moron card again. He doesn't really want to put that in the top area. The real question is, ooh, got a couple of moron cards. He actually has a whole hand he does not like. This might be the time to withdraw from the communications director. That would mean getting out of this, getting the employees out of the area. He could sit there with his main office, but he'd have to move employees somewhere. That doesn't seem like a bad idea, because I do not like the deck that I've been handed. Basically, I have a bunch of motivation cards. Do I want corruption? I do. So I could buy myself one of the things that gave me corruption bonuses. That would also be of some value. Do I particularly want anything out of here? I'm interested in console, and I'd be filling another slot with communications. Getting my console victory conditions out of the way early might keep other people from pursuing them, and also serve some other purposes in terms of, then I don't have to focus on them. I can move to the board if I want to compete on the influence track. The problem is, if I was playing this in a regular game, I would probably set up something like dink, dink, dink. Try to do that first off. That's 3. Am I gonna get any better? Not really. Let's open up with that. 4, 5, and burn all these. Getting rid of my motivation penalties. In fact, I have a -1 there. Simply because then I am not keyed into having to get. This is a hand with a lot of motivation negatives on it. So I'd really want to use that knowledge to pick up something like human resources, accounting, or controlling before the payout happens. Might I want to anyway? Yeah, I might want to anyway. My knowledge, my foreknowledge, gives me a reason to put a bigger bid in or something to try to get those pieces. On the other hand, though, I could try to circumvent all these cards and put these behind the director's meeting rather than the bonus payment. And bail out of the moron event. I'm going to go one way or the other. I don't really care. All right. I'm going to go with the events and the bribe. So I'll put the morons behind the director's meeting. Where do I want this? I actually want this fairly late, because I'm going to be bribing something. So I've got these all upside down. These are going to be this way. And I'll back in the more powerful ones for when I think I'll have them. Let's move this here, and now we open up with the turn. And as communications director, motivation goes down. Price for dessert in the cafeteria is raised. Ooh. Those are kind of silly and funny. They certainly don't add much to the story. I mean, it is just a silly thing. It's like the police riots, the student riots being suppressed in Junta. Something about the mechanism here with stacking the deck reminds me of Junta, not because Junta lets you stack the deck, but because it's got that kind of special power that one player has in terms of distributing the money that's kind of cool. Okay, Now I get to start my thing. I want to open up with a bribe, obviously. I'm going to order 50,000. Well, I want to be able to do things. Controlling's not going to happen for a little while. So I'm going to offer 50,000 for, I don't care about stocks, human resources to Green. How does Green feel about this? Obviously, I kind of like having human resources. I'm interested in corruption, though. If I refuse, I'm going to get dinged. That's kind of a threat. Do I really care about the cash? Not enough to just hold out for more. It doesn't seem like an important thing to me, so I'm going to take the bribe. Let him have it. And that moves us over to Blue. And Blue is looking for shares, department, and console. Not terribly interested in the corruption track, and I see, you know, that's a long track to take, right? It doesn't seem worth it if you don't have it on your secondary victory point card, at least in my view. So, shares, department, and council. Right now, I'm doing pretty well on the main departments. Shares, I may not get a good chance at getting shares. That's the problem. My accounting department, yeah, I probably will get some at some point. And the nice thing about shares is when the payout comes, they come to me. I like the 2 shares for 200,000. That's the biggest amount I can get at a at that efficient price. So we'll get ourselves on the track along with black there. Of course, the payout of that isn't that great, but that's okay. That cash can be used to fund more shares. Over here to Green, influence main department corruption. I have a notable lack of pieces on the board and of powers. How? I don't want to put something out. I'm going to just take myself 2 more employees and fill out my hold there. I'm probably going to start a new department and maybe be able to resign from human resources. Okay. This guy. Shares Corruption Council. I have the accounting. It's not down yet, though. So, not terribly useful. Shares Corruption. I'm beating Blue. That may be the best I need to do with that. That's like I said, this is a long track to take. As long as I'm ahead of Blue, I got my shot towards the victory point there. Shares, I don't want to do yet. Council, is there anything I terribly want to lose in terms of an office? I think I want to build a main office because I'm beginning to collect up too many different positions. Is there somewhere I can do something interesting? Yeah. If I build an office here, I stay in the lead here and get it there. So I'll do this. I'm going to create a main office here. That gets rid of 2 laborers or workers and gets me on the main department position. I don't really care about main department, but it is still a victory point condition that I can go for. Granted, if I top out on these 3, I will be, or if I get in the victory running for those 3, I will probably be in the running for getting that 4th point there, but I don't have to win that competition. That's just another option. Anyway, I'm seeing this as a valuable location to have a main department at this point. Influence shares and corruption for black. I could kill an employee of mine to get influence. That's a kind of nice ability. I like that one. Unfortunately, it weakens your position. So, for example, I don't want to do it in I'm gonna do this while I have the ability, actually. And that's kind of the advantage of, you know, somebody might buy that away from me. Motivation, the recreation room is relocated to the basement. It goes down, and now people are going to start getting their bonuses in play. And that starts making things interesting. This guy went out for human resources. He wants to use that. There's no question. So, because he gets an extra person for it. He might want to do bribery on the controlling as well. We'll see. But not at this point. So yellow is behind here because he has 2 people. He's behind here. We could hire and throw some people in, and that would help. I think we're going to start a new department, and because of our special thing, we get an extra dude, and that helps push us ahead. This guy shares main department and council. Blue doesn't have a lot of people. I could buy some more shares. Might as well keep buying these cheaper shares while they're out. Okay. Green here. Influence main department and corruption. I'm not making any ground on those main departments. That's kind of a problem. So I think what I want to do is I want to create new departments. Now, creating departments, I can create 1 or 2 of them out of my own people. That seems like a good idea. I like the idea. I have 6 of these, so I can devote communications looks ripe for the takeover, as does this. Controlling. I like controlling better, I think. It's hard to tell. Communications is such a power, so I'm going to put these 2 down here, and then they get absorbed. And I take those. And that puts us, him, shares corruption and counsel for red. Shares corruption and counsel. He has the accounting. His shares still hasn't moved below the point where he's going to get money. Corruption. It's a neat one. Council. I don't know what to do. Right now, I've got this accounting pretty nicely locked down. I could maybe get legal and patents into my hands. This I've lost some positioning on. Just having trouble figuring out what to do. Really having trouble. All right. I think I'll offer a bribe. Shit. This is just such a long track, but so shares. I should do something. I'm already on the main departments track, which I don't need for victory, so I'm going to work for that. That seems like a good one to work for overall. So I already have this. I don't want to fuck with that too much. I have the potential for a main department being built here. I think I'm gonna pull into here with a main department. I had 5 total, that drops me to 3. Behind black there, you know, there was no good solution. Puts me up to 2 main departments, and everybody shifts up here. And that puts us then to black. Influence, shares, and corruption. I can pick up influence by killing off my people, but this doesn't seem like the time to do that. I'm falling behind on the corruption race. So, what happens if I offer my buddy Yellow with his bribe, with his human resources, $50,000 for it? Yellow's going to take it because he can't afford to fall behind black. And so that's the bribery there. I need to break this point. So let's continue on. Yellow draws their next one. Sub-managers are in a rush to sell their company shares. Motivation goes down by 2. All right, now it's time to start using abilities, right? Well, Yellow has not taken the opportunity that they were supposed to, which was to bribe for something. And that's, well, I think they did, and I think it got bribed away from them. So now they're going to put a bribe in for 50,000. They want Blue's controlling interest, I believe, because we're not interested in stocks particularly. But getting the extra money, well, extra money is useful. It can let you, for an action, jump these things up. So if you can collect up a nice extra cash pile, that's kind of nice. It's probably better to do other things, like the human resources, but man. Now that this has gone up, I'm going to go up to 100,000 for my bribe. And the question is, does Blue want to take this? Because what is the danger if Blue doesn't? If Blue doesn't, the danger is really they're going to lose an employee. 100,000 might be nice, especially since I'm interested in shares. But what am I going to get off of this? I'm going to get 50,000 per office or main office. So that's worth 150,000. I'm going to take the $100,000 bribe. I think overall, even though it helps the other guy, it also, I forgot to move these forward. It also would hurt me, and I would rather, let him take that option. Oops, I moved the wrong guy up here, and I don't remember who it was. Was it black or green? I think it was black that I moved up. It should be Blue that's going to be on the corruption chart now. All right. On to Blue, shares main department console. I'm already making some good headway on the main departments. I've got some headway on the shares. What about console? Well, I only hold one thing. So for me to do this, I would have to create a new department to move these people, or I could just do some kind of reorg and get them out of there that way. But I'm going to do a creating new department, I guess. Where do I want to create one? Well, if I'm only going to create one, I might as well do the first type, the second type, creating one new employee with new employees. And then let's see, I could get control of legal and patents. That would be kind of nice. Or I could get control of accounting, which I like even better. So I'm going to go here, but then I'm allowed to suck people into there. And that'll put me in a position where I could get controlling and give that away for a council position. Over here for green, Influence main department corruption. Okay. I am easily beating the person I need corruption for, so I have no real great desire to do that. Main department, I don't have a lot of presence on the board, so doing that doesn't seem terribly valuable. Influence, I've collected up a decent amount of influence, but this is actually why I was here, so I'm going to resign my position and go take a chair there. I've just gotten rid of human resources, which means that will no longer be an effective position. And that's one of the things that you got to keep your eye out for. If somebody has just set it up so they can resign the position, bribing for that card may not be valuable. Oops. All right, over to red. Red's got the accounting. I'm interested in shares. This is down to 2, which means I get an extra share for whatever I buy. Unfortunately, if I pay for a 1, I can still pay for a 2, even though there are no 2s there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay the 200,000 for a 2. Getting me 300,000 back, and I'm going to grab 3 shares of this. And that puts me in the pack for that. Remember, blocks of shares bring you money, so it's kind of cool to buy as multiples of them. However, you need to jump your number up quite high to get it, to reach the victory point for shares themselves. But getting one of these, that'll help me snowball into more of them. Influence, shares, and corruption for black. I don't really have employees that I can get rid of easily. Influence, shares, and corruption. I don't have a really good position here right now because I can't really create a main department easily. If I create one, I'm not in a position to say resign a chairman, a seat at that point. My shareholdings are weak. Buying one of them could, again, get me more cash in the long run, so that might not be a bad choice. 3 shares for 400. It's not too terrible. I'm trying to decide what to do. Do I want to do a corruption, try to get the accounting? I'm going to go for the corruption on the accounting, if I can. And now, to do that, I don't know how much it's going to be worth. It's worth a corruption pip, but I'm just going to ask 50,000 for that. Whether or not red wants that is a good question. Red kind of would like to increase their corruption above blue. That's one of their goals here, as well as, they're hoping to get a victory point in corruption. On the other hand, well, they're not absolutely vulnerable, but if they lose a piece here, someone might come after them with not legal, strangely enough, but with development. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, he's going to refuse it, or she's going to refuse it. 50,000 doesn't seem like a good buy. Now, the question is there something else I'm willing to bribe for that 50,000? Would I be willing to bribe for development? Not really. I don't really want to help yellow either. So I'm going to up that bribe to 100,000 and see if red's willing to take more cash as a bribe. Still not a lot. No, she's not willing to. So black will kill one of her employees. And then we go to another card. Working 49.5 hours per week without wage compensation is introduced. Motivation goes down by 2. Now we're at the maximum motivation. And this is why people want these things. In particular, this one is appealing. Development, I could steal an employee away. I would love to do this to Black, because he's my competition. If I could handcuff him some, it would make life easier. Knocking a person out, though, of a position is just valuable, but is that going to help Black overall? I don't think so. I think I'm going to do that just to be dicky. Because I like being dicky, and yellow can take the extra person. Should put it over, or he'll put it over here. And that reduces the standing there. It's hard, you know, this is a really iffy card the more people there are. The bribed version's not as bad, but you just can't do that much damage with it, and you don't gain that much. Over here, shares, main department, and console for blue. Now, I set myself up so I can resign a position. I'm going to resign the controlling position as my action. I'm going to lose it anyway, so it doesn't really hurt too much, and it's kind of cool to get a victory point space there. Influence, main department, and corruption for green. I don't have anything in hand. Main department, corruption. Right now I've got controlling coming to me. I've got this. I've got a position in the influence tracks, which is going to get me the chairmanship. That'll be kind of nice. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hire employees. It's just a matter of building up for my later positioning in the company. Hey, I still got accounting. This is down to 2 extra shares. I'll pay $200,000, and that gets me the 4 share holding. And that's red. Jumping up to the lead there. And that's definitely what I wanted to do. Over here, I could score influence. I don't have the employees to do this. I kind of like to hire employees for it. How much longer is this going to go? I don't know, but I think I should just hire employees with Black. That'll strengthen my position. And can I get something useful? So here I've got 2 guys with 4. I've already got that. Here I've got 2 guys with 4, but I'm facing 3 guys here. I'm not going to get that. So I'm going to strengthen my position in these departments. And that pushes us around. And now we're going to score the cash for this, and I'll just come back after I collect the money, because we're going to have more money coming into play from these guys who now have shares. Remember, each block of shares, not each share, is worth 100,000. The card is incorrect there. And then also, who has controlling? This guy is going to get an extra $200,000 for each department he has. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, $800,000. So I'll just pull out the money. Money's not really a huge issue in the victory conditions, but it can help grease the skids for getting, these things, and also obviously shares, bribery. It can be somewhat helpful, but money doesn't have a whole lot of perceived value, at least for me. Okay, so the money handed out, $1 million for yellow with the controller bonus. About 800,000 was the next best, and it ranged down as low as 550,000 for green, who doesn't have a lot of departments, doesn't have any shares, doesn't really have anything going for them. And we don't turn over a card yet because we have another action to go around. Now, I don't remember what my card setup is, but I think this is the last action for yellow. I think the payouts was the last thing I was doing. So I want to set up for a new turn. How do I go about that? I certainly can't resign a position. It's often a good time to resign your position at this point. If there was an employee I could steal away and hurt someone, that would be worthwhile, but I don't think so. So, what am I interested in? I'm interested in corruption. Grabbing the chairmanship advantage is of some worth. I could grab that from black. He's my main competitor, and I could do damage to him if he refuses. And then I could always go, well, none of the other options for bribery work very well. That's the problem. So what else might I want to do? Am I interested in? I'm interested in main departments. I think this is time to build one. Of course, I already own this, and that I can't use. Yeah, I can't really build a main department very easily. So I could build one here, but let's see. Yeah, I would still have 6 guys after I spend my 2. That sounds like a good choice. That puts me in a pretty powerful position here. Get rid of these, and I get a main department. Instead, I could, of course, have just thrown one of my employees away to get a point of influence, for example. But I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in main departments. Setting this up, it keeps me in position to get development again. So that's sweet. On to blue. Shares, main department, and council. Well, I did not set anything too interesting up. I would like, I'm not going to have this anymore. How about this one? I get this one for free. I think I'm just going to hire some employees, I guess. Set myself up to start getting departments. You know, more departments as I go. I'm not thrilled with it, but you know, it's not the time to bribe for a card at this point. Red or green influence, main department, and corruption. I could, of course, create a main department, but that might not be the best thing. Corruption, a bribe, not necessarily very valuable, although unlike this guy, if I failed on the chairman, I could probably get a bribe in for communications. So you know what? I'm gonna bribe. I'm gonna put 50,000 for the chairman, and black has the opportunity then to catch up with yellow. They're gonna take that. It's not a great, maybe they would like more money, but given that yellow has the other thing that might be bribed for at this point, that would make life even harder on them, and it wouldn't cost yellow anything at all to lose the communications at this point, which makes giving that up for some cash and a corruption chip somewhat worthwhile. It is a powerful bribed ability, though, that green gets out of that. Over here to red. Well, that was red, I think. Jesus, I can't tell. No, I think that was green moving forward. I think red did one before. Again, games with lots of tracks and stuff, I can't keep track of what's going on. Okay, red likes corruption too, and they would also like that bribe. They could smack green a little bit for failing, or give green the option for a corruption. It sounds reasonable. That main office is fantastic. So I'm gonna put a 50,000 bid on that. Now the question is, does red want the offer, or does green want the offer of some corruption in exchange for whatever they're getting? They have to beat red. You've got a pretty good jump on them already. They also have to make it into here, but the game's going to go long enough that they're going to get other opportunities. A main office is a big selling point. I'm going to say they're pretty unlikely to take it, only on a 1 or a 2, and they don't decide not to, which means that green is going to get hit for one of their employees. And now red can turn and take the communication or make another offer to green. They're going to take the communication, which is why green gets hit. The $50,000 is definitely a good offer. Yellow takes that, and black is not at all happy with what has just transpired. Speaking of which, black gets to go. They would like to make their corruption jump up, but you don't have to do that at this point. I have legal and patents. I could get rid of a worker. That's always of some value, but I've got a pretty good influence positioning right now. Shares, again, maybe not the best time to be buying them, although maybe it's not terrible. I think I'm going to go for a bribe, and I'm going to try to bribe the chairman. I'm going to offer green 100,000 on this. They've already refused the 50. Maybe they'll take 100. I don't think so. However, they are getting shot down pretty hard. But black's going to go ahead, and green is going to take another hit. A main office is a valuable thing. Losing 2 pips for that isn't too terrible, but I also lost a position that I could have gained on the corruption table, which would have been painful. Well, now I'm interested in the additional action here. That's the only other valuable bribe. That's not as valuable a position. However, I could still be worth 100,000 for an extra action like that. Actually, it's just an additional action. I could take all kinds of different things. Am I willing to go to 100,000? No, I'm gonna bid 50, and red's not terribly vulnerable and maybe doesn't terribly want this. Red will also refuse, which means black can then pick off a red piece, and this seems a good choice. I think we have just finished up this round. We have. We're going to the directors meeting. So we've got to handle that, and we'll try to get it all on one video for the next turn as well. I just don't think that's possible to get a whole nother video, a whole nother turn on a video, unless I really draw away from the game and stop looking at individual decisions. I don't know how to play this without looking at individual decisions. There's very little for me to discuss. I could say, oh look, somebody has more pieces now, you know. And it's going to be tough, like with something like Dominant Species, for me to remember all the actions that people took. Same kind of situation. I can draw a story from an 18xx game that I can't from something like this. And I just don't know how to present a game like this except by playing all the damn actions out. There doesn't seem to be a long-term board presence. and there's too many different action choices. That's one of the problems when you have a whole bunch of different things that you can do. When it's not just, well, everybody lays a track, everybody has a track laid, maybe some dots get laid, but those are kind of a big thing, trains getting bought, whatever. The 18xx experience is kind of more like a war game in the sense that people are always doing the same thing. Here, people are always doing different things, and it influences a lot, and it's really all the game is about, is those different little plays that you make. Just like in a game of hearts, your choice to play high or low. That's what the whole game is about in each card. You can't really direct another story from it, and there is no other story on this one, or very little. You could look at the overall board position and the victory point charts position, and maybe surmise something from that. Maybe I'll do that. We'll see.